Resident Evil began the video game genre of survival horror in 1996 with zombies, an evil pharmaceutical company, a virus, and horrible voice acting. It became more popular when the second game came out 2 years later, but in 1999, Konami wanted in on the genre, and instead of using the same ideas from Capcom, they decided to go for the psychological feel, and Silent Hill was born. Instead of zombies and viruses, we get supernatural elements, changing realities, religious cults, and Pyramid Head. And like any long-running series, Silent Hill has its ups and downs, including a live-action movie, but the series continues today with few major changes to its formula. We talk about the town that takes all, Silent Hill, which turns 15 this year, next on Downloadable Content. A newcomer to Downloadable Content, our next one here in Season 4. We have Mike.
Hey!
And only Mike. Short panel as opposed to the last episode, which was the E3 episode, which ran a bit long. That's what happens when you have 6 people on. That was a long one. We had to cover a lot in the E3 episode. But it is just Mike and I today. We're going to talk about Silent Hill. And because it is one of my favorite games, franchises, even though it might not get the love and attention that other survival horror series like Resident Evil get. But it turns 15, and I felt, hey, you know what? Let's talk about it. There's certainly enough of a line of games worthy of a discussion. So, before we get into the Silent Hill chat, just want to remind everyone that Downloadable Content is available on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher, and you can get in touch with us with a variety of ways. You can get us on Facebook, facebook.com/DLContent, at Twitter, at DLContent, on Tumblr, dlcpodcast.tumblr.com, and if you want to email any questions, comments, what have you, dlcontent1@gmail.com. So, all the plugs are now out of the way, so let us go right into our chat. And as I said in the intro, it started, survival horror as a genre as we know it today is probably, and I think most people can agree, it started with Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1. And, you know, even though I didn't start playing Resident Evil until the second game, then I went back and played the first and went, wow.
I think survival horror really started when the dog jumped through the window in the first Resident Evil game.
That was definitely a throw your controller moment in shock. Like, ah!
I think, what was it though? There was the Resident Evil, there was a director's cut too that came out.
Yes.
That was definitely the superior title. It had so much more content. I vividly remember forcing myself to enjoy it because I bought it with my own money, and I didn't like it at first. It was one of those games you really had to, because it was, like you said, it kind of started the genre, so it wasn't like anything you'd played before.
Definitely. I mean, and I started the Resident Evil series with the second game. So I did
police station.
Yes, so instead of the dogs jumping through the window, it was the crows shooting through a hallway.
And the liquor, right?
And the liquor
along the window as you walk.
Yes. Then I went back and played the first game. I played the director's cut, and I tried to take the game seriously, but when you had such memorable gems of the Master of Unlocking line and what is this, Barry? Blood.
Barry!
You were almost a Jill sandwich. You know, you have lines.
Oh my god! I remember that now. Break down the door!
No! Don't step this way! You know, memorable. You know, with the horrible voice acting, you wondered how the hell Capcom got this series off the ground. But Silent Hill comes in 1999 because Konami goes, well, I think we can do something better. And for me, you know, back then, Konami was, it was like, ooh, Metal Gear Solid. Mm-hmm. Because they were riding that wave. That game was one of those that just sold the PlayStation 1.
Yep.
But
tactical espionage action, right?
Yes. But Silent Hill 1 came out January 31st, 1999 in the USA.
Jesus.
Yeah. Uh-huh. When I saw the release date, I went, ooh.
Right. Oh, man. I kind of remember getting that game.
I saw my stepbrother play it. That's how I got introduced to it. I didn't see him play all of it because I was fascinated enough by it that I was like, even then, no spoilers, please. But the first thing I noticed right off the bat, to me, it still contains one of my favorite pieces of video game music ever, and that's right at the beginning.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Right at the beginning, and you have that whole opening scene with Harry Mason and his daughter Cheryl driving to Silent Hill for a vacation of all things, and you know then you see the character in the road, and they swerve out of the way, and now Cheryl's gone, and now Harry has to go find her.
I think too that was one of the you see it a lot now in video games, especially with things like The Walking Dead Season 1 and The Last of Us. That was one of the first really attempts to bind you to like a younger character that you felt responsible for, that you had to go out and save, and it didn't really matter if Harry lived through the game. It just mattered that you saved Cheryl.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And now everyone's jumped on that trope, but that was that was one of the first. And you know, right off the bat, you know, you're not in Raccoon City. This isn't, you're not, surrounded in zombies and flame. It's quiet and foggy and dark. Mm-hmm. And this is just a hallmark of the entire series. They really play up the whole, everything is just eerie. Mm-hmm. There are really no jump out, scare the crap out of you moments. It's just you get a whole uneasy vibe throughout.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I've always loved about Silent Hill is that it manages to give you the it's like you are in an open world sort of, but it still manages to feel just as claustrophobic as if you are in a tight mansion, tight hallway, and there's zombies beyond any corner. With the fog, it's just an excellent, I think, a game mechanic that you haven't seen repeated in any other game as well, anyway.
I can certainly agree with that. They definitely made use of specific camera angles, obscure, and what a great trick of using fog as the loading device. Yeah. I mean, back then, 1999, 2000, we're just like, ooh, the fog everywhere. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. That's because the world is loading with each step.
Right, exactly. I also think that was one of the first ones, too. It didn't have a heads-up display, I don't think.
No, did not have a heads-up display.
Yeah. So that was one of the first games I played, too, that I can remember that, what was it? Did the controller beep or something? I don't really remember.
No, what you were given in the beginning from the officer, Sybil, you were given a radio.
Right, a radio.
You were given a radio that played no music, but it would get static would get louder as you got closer to an enemy.
That's right. And that was kind of creepy, actually. What was it? The first enemy is like you crawl under a gate, right?
Yes.
You go to get like a knife or something, or maybe I forget exactly what it was, and then he's behind you.
And then you just have like this group of enemies that just beat you unconscious. Uh-huh. And you wake up in the restaurant, and then suddenly this like pterodactyl-looking thing just flies in, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, too, like you said earlier in the intro, it's different because, you're not facing like a standard trope kind of enemy. You're not facing a zombie or a vampire or any of the other things that you've been playing in Castlevania or in Resident Evil. It's just this pure, hellish kind of psychological nightmare, which especially comes in Silent Hill 2 more so, I think, than Silent Hill 1. But still the undertones are there where it's just something really different, something that you never had encountered really before in a survival horror game. Or any game.
And also at the time, I mean, keep in mind, Resident Evil, you're playing as police officers.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Harry Mason...
With hand cannons.
Yeah, Harry Mason is just, and they mentioned, like, this everyday character, this everyman, and you have to go out and find stuff, like planks of wood with nails in them, or lead pipes, and, even when you get a gun, you're still not having 100% accuracy. He will miss.
Yes.
Even at point blank range, he will miss. So and with ammo being scarce in that game, it's like, and your melee weapons will break.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a terrifying thing to try to keep track of. And I recently, a couple of years ago, I downloaded Silent Hill off the PlayStation Store, and I remember trying to replay it. And I was really confronted by the absolutely crushing difficulty level compared to other games that I have played. It was one of those things where if you made one mistake, it was really going to come back to bite you.
Oh, yeah. And with a game like that, I rely so much more on melee weapons because you knew that you have to save your ammo for the bosses.
Yeah. I think it started the I don't know if it started, but it definitely contributed to the big hoarding. Oh, I can't use it now. I might need it later.
My strategy for that game was just like, since I knew how rare ammo was, it was just like, okay, I'm just gonna save these bullets and just unload them for the final boss.
Right.
Just hoard them all, because it was like, it's like same thing that like in the early Resident Evil games, ammo was scarce.
Yes. Compare it to Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, which is basically
everything drops ammo.
Rainbow Six Vegas.
Yeah. Basically, yes. And I'll never forget the first time in Silent Hill where you hear the air raid siren as it changes.
Oh, classic.
Changing from normal reality to the nightmarish. Everything's rusted. The enemies get tougher, and it's just like, oh boy. You hear the air raid siren when you're in the normal world, and you're like, oh fuck. And then you hear it again when you're coming out of the nightmare situation, and it's like, oh thank God.
It's one of those things too. I think it's a very successful hallmark of the series, even in the less than stellar movies, is that when you hear that siren, you still, especially if you remember playing the games, it kind of touches something where you remember like, I hope I saved.
I hope I have enough health drinks and first aid kits. I'm going to need them.
Yes.
And also, and this is a trademark of the series, this is in every game, there are certain points in every single game that's going to determine the ending. Every single game has between 2 and 4 endings.
I think Silent Hill the first one had 4.
It had 4. It had a bad plus, a good plus, and a UFO.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really.
Yeah, and they all have a joke ending, but
the dog ending was one, or a different one maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something that also sticks out for nearly all of the Silent Hill games is the music, which really helps to create the atmosphere, because the composer, Akira Yamaoka, he doesn't use just straight instruments. There's a lot of noise that gets worked into the soundtrack. It's not just, strings and brass creating the mood like Nemesis is about to eat you.
Right.
It's just like, you'll just be walking and there'll be periods of silence and you'll hear like the sound of glass breaking, and it's nothing in game. It's just added little tweaks to keep you on edge.
I think too that really helps with because when you go back and play Silent Hill 1 especially, you're confronted with this, what is this muddy polygon mess. So with the graphic capabilities of the game being what it is, I think to keep it atmospheric and to have that music really helped. It really helped drive home the horror, as opposed to just some red, fake blood would have done.
Yeah. And it's just and not to and all of these things we're talking about the first game. Now, how about the story? You have these weird elements at play with drugs and supernatural deities and Dahlia Gillespie. Oh my God! And burning children alive in satanic rituals, and just weird shit that it took me a couple of playthroughs because I was just like,
often,
what?
Yeah.
What?
It definitely doesn't hold your hand, and it definitely is very open to interpretation, as opposed to what again the way Resident Evil basically spoon feeds you the story.
Yeah, I mean there is an element of linearity in each of the Silent Hill games, but it's not as cut and dry.
Right. Not to move on to Silent Hill 2 before we're ready, but I mean, you get the impression, especially in that game, where you might even be dealing with an unreliable protagonist. You don't know what exactly has driven... I just drew a blank on his name.
For Silent Hill 1?
No, 2.
James.
You don't know. I mean, is he a drunk? What's he responsible for? The iconic bathroom scene with the mirror reflection before it was done to death.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it was one of those games where the story, no matter how linear the game was, the story really was left to your particular interpretation to a degree.
Yes, and and again, the story changes because there's a couple of points in Silent Hill 1 which will determine the ending. And
what was it? It was a bottle or something, right? It was
there were two moments in Silent Hill 1 that determined the ending. The first was you had to fight Sybil, and you either could save her or kill her.
Right.
The other involves the use of a red liquid with Dr. Kaufman.
Right, Aglo something.
Yes, some long name.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Aglafatis or something like that.
Right.
And depending on when they got used, determine your ending, whether, either Harry's dead at the end of the game.
Yeah, just laying in his car. Yeah. It was all just a dream or whatever, a death hallucination.
Yeah. This 7 hour game just been one big, hallucination. And, however, obviously one of those endings is canonical because we have Silent Hill 3, which is the direct sequel. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, Silent Hill 1 really I enjoyed it immensely. I really, really enjoyed it, which made Silent Hill 2 a little bit of a trip.
Yeah, it was definitely not what you were expecting.
Well, we automatically think, sequel. And so Silent Hill 1 was on PlayStation 1. Now we get to we jump to the PS2. Silent Hill 2 was released September 24th, 2001, and we've come to find out that Silent Hill 2 is not a direct sequel at all.
Not even in the slightest, really.
And, yeah, and it opens with a letter. James receives a letter from his dead wife, which
from Silent Heaven too, right? It wasn't even Silent Hill.
It was like from our favorite vacation spot.
Oh, the hotel,
yes.
On the lake. Nah, that's right.
He received, right off the bat, he receives a letter from his dead wife, and you're already going, oh, well, I can't see what could possibly go wrong.
What could possibly happen when I get a letter from my dead wife who's died from some kind of mysterious ailment?
Which you find out later on in the game what it is. And so, we're going through, and, we start meeting characters. It's like, oh, hi, Maria, you bear a striking resemblance to my dead wife.
Right.
And why...
Laura, right? I think Laura was the wife.
And it's like, why is this letter that I received from my dead wife the words are slowly disappearing?
Eddie. I think Eddie was like one of the creepiest, like, bizarre characters. Also, I think that Silent Hill 2 really was one of a really great video game when it comes to direction, as in a director. It really wasn't. It was totally new, really, when you look at it. Just the way every camera, like, nothing's wasted. There's no reuse just for the sake of reusing an environment.
I can agree with that. It was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Mary was his wife.
Mary. There was a Laura in the game.
Yeah, there's a Laura. Laura's the kid.
Ah, okay.
Laura's the kid. You have Eddie. You have Angela.
You're not friends with that pyramid thing, are you?
Oh, yes.
Of course, we're best buddies.
Oh, yeah. Introducing Pyramid Head, which...
Of course, the iconic Pyramid Head.
He's only been in 2 games, but he's like the antagonist of the entire series, it seems.
Well, I think he just represents that just unrelenting terror. You know, you were talking about Silent Hill 1, like the score of, you know, you'll just hear like breaking glass or a door when there's, you know, but in Silent Hill 2, I mean, you hear that screeching of him dragging his sword, or whatever you want to call it, his Buster Sword times 2.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, oh God, you know, he's somewhere around here. It really is a terrifying thing.
And as the story progresses, you find out that every enemy in the game, and I thought this was a beautiful plot twist. By the way, I should have mentioned this right before we started, but this series is 15 years old. I think the statute of limitations has expired on spoilers.
Pretty sure it's safe.
So, spoiler alert if, you haven't played. I thought it was a stroke of brilliance in the plot that the enemies in the game were actually manifestations of James' guilty conscience.
And his memories of watching or, assisting in his wife's death, the nurses, just the horrible... I think, too, that the environment in its reflection of, like, its very unsanitary nature is sort of a commentary on James's experiences in a super sanitary environment, like a hospital or whatever it would have been, where his wife was. It was how he saw it, how it appeared to him, as opposed to how it really was.
You know, we find out that James was actually the one that killed his wife.
Yeah.
Because he was very frustrated at taking care of her. The bobblehead nurses are representative of his sexual frustration.
Right.
Pyramid Head is a manifestation of his desire to be punished for his crime. And then you have the final boss battle in which you have to take on 2 Pyramid Heads.
Because why not 2?
Why? Yeah, because, why not? You have one that's just follow you. Take on 2!
Yeah, why not? I mean, you've been terrified of this one for the whole game. What is 2 going to do? Why not? But it was, I think, too... No, James kills himself in one of the endings. It's not that he's been dead the whole time, right?
Yeah, there are. Silent Hill 2 has 6 endings.
Yep. The dog, extraterrestrial.
Yeah, but it has the dog. It has the UFO. Those are 2 joke endings. One of them is James does kill himself
in the water.
Yes,
yeah.
He drives into the lake, and very well done, though. I mean, it doesn't change in terms of gameplay. Not a whole lot changes between the first and the second. There's no heads-up display. The gameplay is largely the same. Although I think the second game, from what I remember of it, it's more puzzle solving and heavy.
The hair in the drain, you get a fish hook and you tie it to like a strand of hair and. It wasn't just puzzle solving; it was disgusting puzzle solving.
Yeah, there was more of that than combat. I mean, there was still combat, but not heavily.
It was definitely more puzzle driven and even more running and hiding than Silent Hill 1.
Yes.
Yeah, James is very unstable. You don't know what's going on with him. I vaguely remember like some kind of weird Pet Cemetery-esque ending too, right? Where he plans on resurrecting his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That doesn't never seem like a good idea in this town, but
Yeah, no, it just... And, adding to the psychological, mess of Silent Hill, it's like the first time you see Pyramid Head, it's the scene where James is in an apartment building. He's hiding in a closet, and he's seeing Pyramid Head essentially raping one of the mannequins.
Yeah, rape and then kill. Sexually assault and then kill.
Yeah. I'm like, all right.
All right, I'm 13. This is a little unusual.
It's all right. Well, it's an M-rated game for a reason.
I guess I'll go back to playing Perfect Dark now.
It's like, all right, I'll just go back. Yeah, I'll just go back to my N64. I'll just, this is weird, but I loved it.
It was Silent Hill 2, really, that, you see those, there's an image, a meme, whatever you want to call it, on the internet, where there's like a fork in the road, and one path leads to Raccoon City and the other path leads to Silent Hill. And it's like, which one do you choose? For me, I would choose Raccoon City 100% of the time.
Yes, as would I. I'd be like, okay, zombies, I know what you are.
I know what you are. I know what I'm dealing with here. I really don't want to confront my deep, dark, subconscious emotions and then be tortured for an eternity. That's really different.
I'll handle the physical scarring. The mental scarring might be a little tougher to get out.
Exactly.
So we press forward to Silent Hill 3.
My personal favorite.
Silent Hill 3, which again, I really enjoyed. I definitely like the earlier games better than the later ones, but Silent Hill 3, which was released in August 2003 on the PS2, this one was the direct sequel to Silent Hill 1. Takes place 17 years later when we find out which of the endings of Silent Hill 1 was the correct one.
Yep. And it is also, to my knowledge, the only Silent Hill game that you can replay dressed as Sailor Moon with a lightsaber.
Was it Silent Hill 3?
I
don't remember Heather.
System.
I don't remember Heather getting alternate costumes for that game.
You could you could also play through with just like a solid machine gun and just mow everybody down if that was your thing. The replay feature really did add a lot of extra fun and the ability to just explore and honestly see everything the game had to offer without that constant claustrophobic, oh my god, I gotta get out of here feeling, which was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you've gone through the mental scarring, now let's just mow everybody down.
Now go back and, get over your demons by you have a lightsaber and you're dressed as Sailor Moon and you also have a machine gun. Why not?
Okay, I kind of felt the same way. It's like when I played through Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and you play the mini game, the Mercenaries, and you end up like unlocking unlimited ammo for every weapon. And I'm just like, all right, let's just, and you can have Jill dressed as Regina from Dino Crisis,
right?
And just mow through the entire game with an infinite rocket launcher.
Right. I think the replay feature that I'm talking about was Silent Hill 3, I think, re-released at some point. Broken,
yes.
Because there was Xbox exclusive baloney that it then re-released in general with everything. And what I'm talking about is the Xbox edition and then the Silent Hill, I think it was Shattered Memories or something that it was called.
Silent Hill Shattered Memories was for the Wii.
No, then it's not that. It was something. It had a subtitle. When Silent Hill was re-released... When Silent Hill 3 was re-released on PS2 with the Xbox exclusive content, it had a subtitle.
You might be thinking of the HD collection.
No, it was before that.
Okay. Because Silent Hill 3 came out in 2003, then it came out as part of the PS3 and 360 HD collection in March 2012.
I don't remember.
But
I know I do my fair amount of drinking, but if I'm remembering playing as Heather running around in a Sailor Moon costume with a lightsaber, and it's totally an alcohol-induced hallucination, I really need help. I think at this point.
Well, the first step is admitting you have a problem. So, that'll happen. It's entirely possible.
No, this can't be. I have faith that one of your listeners will verify that I'm not insane.
This was the game that had, I think, my favorite though of the soundtracks. I really enjoyed the soundtrack to this game. What?
Great music.
Very good music, and just we got to see a bit more of Silent Hill and the surrounding, because the first chunk of the game takes place in a mall.
Right.
And we start incorporating things like private detectives and
giant pink rabbits.
Yes. Yeah. And this creepy Claudia person who is again obsessed with reviving the deity.
Oh man, Claudia. Oh, that bitch.
Oh, that's
my most hated video game villainess of my young adult years.
she was a piece of work.
Oh man,
it's like,
just one of those characters that you knew was just, you weren't gonna it was, no matter what happened to her, you weren't gonna feel like it was enough.
Yeah, and then even the final battle where she swallows this fetus god that Heather coughs up. I'm like, really?
Yeah, what the hell? So weird.
The only other video game antagonists that approach that level of revulsion for me are the unitologists in the Dead Space.
Well, that's one of those things where it's just insane. By the way, I did just Google image Silent Hill 3 Sailor Moon, and I can verify. I'm looking at him right now.
Okay, so this is not a drunken stupor.
No, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
But the unitologists in Dead Space just don't make any sense. I think it was a Penny Arcade comic where it was just like, dude, there are other religions. This is ridiculous. Come on now.
And it's just, and Claudia, and just, I'm like, just shut up. Just stop talking.
Just stop, alright? Listen, I hate you enough. And Wolf, right? Claudia Wolf?
Yes.
Oh, man. That, ugh.
And, Leonard, and Vincent. Which was, I don't know if Vincent was related to Claudia, but Vincent was part of that same cult.
Yeah, he was. That's definitely true.
And
Vincent.
The saddest moment in that game, though, when Harry.
Yeah.
Harry.
Well,
I'm like, oh.
Oh, well, it was one of those things where you kind of got that feeling, because no matter how well, I know there's good and good plus in the original Silent Hill, but they're all, at best, a Pyrrhic victory.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's not going to have a happy life.
Knowing that, for the 17 years since the first Silent Hill game when this takes place, he's probably looking over his shoulder a lot.
I mean, I don't think he's gotten very many good nights of sleep.
I'm surprised he didn't off himself
exactly.
in the interim, but
that's the thing. Again, is like Raccoon City seems to be like something you can walk away from, but Silent Hill is going to be something that's going to stay with you. If you have the choice, you would go with the zombies.
Yes, because again, you know what you're dealing with. They're not trying. All they want is your brains.
Right, that's it. Just brains.
That's all they want. They don't care about anything else. But no, I do not want to, I do not want to battle my demons. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. I also think, even though it was, the other world, or whatever, the Rust world, whatever it's called, appears in Silent Hill 1 and 2, I really think it was Silent Hill 3 that illustrated the severity of the change.
Yes.
It's completely a different place. It's crazy.
And you tend to be stuck there for long.
Yeah. I think also it only changes a couple of times too, if memory serves.
Yeah,
because the amount of time you're there is so lengthy.
Yeah, it's not a quick in and out like the first game. It's just, that you stay there for a while, and it's like, come on, I want to get back to, something.
Yeah. This is enough.
I didn't know this, and I only found out this little tidbit of info today, that much of the series is inspired by the movie Jacob's Ladder, which I've never seen.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that in forever. Makes sense, though. But, spoiler alert for Jacob's Ladder, if you care.
Go ahead. I'm probably not seeing it.
The whole thing is a death hallucination. The whole movie. So, you know, the guy's on the verge of death in Vietnam, and then you go on this 2-hour-long roller coaster ride where he pretty much fights his demons, and then he dies at the end.
All right.
So, yeah, I guess I can see that.
But, you know, you play as Heather Mason, and I think one of the things I remember the most about the third game is I think that the Heather has to do a battle with, like, her evil self on a carousel.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh.
That battle, to me, was harder than the final boss.
I'm trying to remember what the context was of that. I remember it was difficult. The whole game was difficult. That was it was one of those things where, again, it was like the boss battle isn't really a boss battle. It's just that you can't screw up. I mean, compared to our epic boss battles that we have now, where, this isn't even my final form, it was one of those things where it really was a life and death struggle, and you're not just a meat machine that can take however many hits as the boss can deal out. It's like a realistic kind of battle.
Yeah. And again, you know, that whole mechanic of, you know, the screen starts blinking when you're getting close.
Right.
Screen starts to flicker as you're getting more injured, and you're just like, oh god, I hope I have some health drinks in here.
Yeah, somewhere. There's got to be somewhere.
Because
around this corner, maybe, please.
Because you still don't have a heads-up display.
Nope.
It's just like, okay, quick, mash the button to get into the menu.
Yeah.
Please!
Please, I can't deal with this anymore.
But, you know, the first 3 games I really, really enjoyed. They were so much fun. I just wish they were longer.
Yeah. The first 3 games, too, I feel like, even though Silent Hill 2 doesn't directly involve the story from 1 and 3, I still feel like it gives you good context, and going back and replaying 1, or let's say hypothetically if you just played 2 for the first time and now you're about to play 3 for the first time, you kind of know more about what you're getting into. You get this place. It's not specific to Harry or James. It's whoever goes there and whatever has happened to them. It's going to be different.
Oh, Silent Hill 2 also gives you a lot of the town's backstory.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, the extended storyline, sort of.
Yeah. So we shift into Silent Hill 4 The Room, which is only one of 2 that I have not played.
I enjoyed Silent Hill 4 The Room immensely. However, the fact that it was not originally a Silent Hill game is obvious throughout while playing it.
I've seen people play bits of it. I mean, I know that it was around Silent Hill 3 where people, you know, reviewers and you know, video game critics were starting to go, all right, you've had pretty much the same sort of gameplay formula for 3 years now. This series is about 5 years old. It's starting to get a little old.
Mm-hmm. Well, Silent Hill The Room, to me, suffers from what I like to call Ghostbusters 2 syndrome, where there's really nothing wrong with it, but people just want something different from the same sort of universe. And the whole idea of the wall and of going in and out through this like disgusting kind of hole in a wall in a bathroom that becomes like organic, it feels like they're trying to like keep it tethered to the Silent Hill realm, but they're also trying to do something vastly different, which in the end, critically and from a sales point of view, didn't work out.
I was reading a bit about it, and you know, I find that, you know, it's the first of the series to not really take place in Silent Hill, but in a nearby area, and it does really depart from the series formula because you are trying to get out of this apartment building, which apparently, you know, in the first half of the game is like your safe haven, but then in the second half of the game, you want to be anywhere but.
It becomes kind of like the other world when you go back to it, where now the walls are very dark and dirty and everything's bloody, and the whole atmosphere changes. And it's one of those games where, if I remember correctly, there's a mechanic where about halfway through the game, you're trying to help. What was her name? There's a girl. Her name.
Let's see. We
had some piece of paper that I was going to tell you.
Well, you have the main character, Henry.
Yeah. And was it Cynthia?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're trying to help her through, and you're doing like an ICO sort of lead me by the hand thing, and the amount of damage that she takes throughout the course of the game directly impacts the ending you get.
Yes. Which
I thought was really, so cool. That it's something so fluid. And one thing we neglect to point out in, I think Silent Hill 3 only has 3 endings, right? It has the smallest amount of endings.
Yeah, it has 3 endings. One of them is only the first time you play through.
Yeah.
You only get the one ending, and then when you play through it again, then you have the other 2 are open to you.
And then I think 4 has 4.
Silent Hill 4 has
other.
There
21 Sacraments.
There are 4 total endings.
Yeah, and the UFO, and then one more. I don't remember.
21 Sacraments, Eileen's death.
There you go.
And escape and although this one does not have a UFO ending. There is no joke ending.
Oh, okay.
So you have 21 Sacraments, Mother, Eileen's death, and escape.
Okay. Yeah, I never got the good ending in all my legitimate playthroughs.
I think I only got the good ending once in any of the game, because I'm just like,
Until you read and to know exactly what you have to do at exactly what moment. It's one of those things where, unless you know what you're gunning for, it's very difficult.
Yeah, so we have YouTube now, and now it's like, okay,
yeah, of course.
It's like, okay, I didn't get that ending, but let's see what the others, how the others played out.
These kids with their YouTube.
Yeah.
Back in the days of Hamachi and Kazaa, trying to find some kind of walkthrough or just a Word document that would tell you what to do.
We did have Game Facts.
We did? I don't remember.
We did.
I must have just been terrible then.
Well, I was of the opinion back then that, I wanted to be like the legit gamer. It's like, no, do not touch a strategy guide until you've beaten the game.
Right, until you play it through once on your own, and then you're entitled to go back and
yes.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do that too, still to this day.
I do on occasion. The only real time I consult a strategy guide is if I'm absolutely stuck.
Yeah, if the game is no longer fun anymore, then yeah, you go to the strategy.
You go to the strategy guide. But I never played Silent Hill for the Room, and I don't know why I avoided it. It just never showed up.
It's a pretty cool game, and it has the what has given birth to a legendary internet meme of the giant head staring at you. The giant woman's head. I don't know. I guess you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, well then.
You're
for a treat.
That's an unfamiliar one for me.
Well, then you should definitely check it out. It's at one point during the game, you're walking through a hallway, and then you come to the end of the hallway, and there is just the head of this gigantic, I'm talking like, 8 feet tall and wide, head of the woman who you've been helping the entire game, staring at you, and her eyes follow you as you walk around the room, and it's very unsettling.
I'm looking at images of it now. Oh God.
Yeah, it's not, it was definitely, well, that was unexpected,
No, I thought I had my share of unappetizing images from Silent Hill. You have Eddie constantly puking.
Yeah. Classic.
Angela in a burning building.
Yeah.
It's like, you're
the rape.
Yes, Pyramid Head. It just, but no, now I'm looking at this big giant head.
Yeah, and her eyes follow you, which I think was the most unsettling part about it as you walk around.
A tiny bit of Uncanny Valley. All right. All right. And I think on that happy note is where we're going to close out the first half.
Yeah.
So when we get into our second half, we will pick up with the rest of the Silent Hill. It makes the jump to the next generation of consoles. It jumps to PS3 and 360. We also have the PSP and Shattered Memories to talk about. So that will be on our second half. But in the meantime, I will give you some music to listen to for a few minutes. Naturally, something from Silent Hill, since that's what we're talking about. So you hang out. We'll be back. Welcome back to Downloadable Content. We are still here. Mike and I have not been rendered clinically insane by this freaking series.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you are not speaking in incoherent babble yet.
Yet.
As long as you are currently not burning a child alive in some sort of satanic ritual.
Only in Silent Hill.
Only in Silent Hill. So, we pick up where we left off. We now have Silent Hill making the jump to the next gen. We're going to start with Silent Hill Origins.
A pre-C interquel game.
It's a prequel to the entire series. That's what they bill it as. It was released November 2007 on the PSP, and we have another everyman character. We have Travis Grady.
Travis, the ultimate trucker name.
It's Travis Grady, because that doesn't sound trucker at all.
No, it's just a guy. And Travis, I believe, has the also dubious distinction of having the unlimited pockets, like the bottomless backpack, if memory serves. You can pick up anything and everything, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I think he does have the TARDIS pockets.
Yeah, there you go.
He does not have... It's just unlimited room, which is great.
Yeah, it was a change.
It was a nice change, and I own a PSP, so I do have this, and I think this was one of the first Silent Hill games that was not actually developed by Konami. This was developed by Climax Studios.
Right.
And this game was, again, did not steer, away from the traditional Silent Hill formula.
It was definitely more hack and slash, though.
Yes.
Definitely way more combat.
Yes. It definitely felt more combat. And the thing, though, that I remember the most about the game was how you could actually now willingly transport to the other world.
Well, I think a big impact on Silent Hill was the release of, again, Silent Hill's bigger and more famous brother, Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4 came out right before this game.
Yep.
And that really definitely had an impact on the way it was developed. The camera angle especially was copy and pasted from Resident Evil.
Yeah,
so,
I'm just glad that they did not steal the QuickTime events.
Well, that is always, that's always a good thing.
Although not to an extent. Origins did have a couple of QuickTime events.
Listen, Resident Evil 4 is mostly QuickTime events, okay? I know it's a sin to make fun of that game in certain circles, but...
I will one-up you on that. Resident Evil 5 is...
Resident Evil 5 and its successor, I believe, are only worth playing if you're playing it co-op. And I mean split-screen co-op, not online. It's only really fun with a friend.
Basically, yes. But this takes place, Silent Hill Origins takes place several years before Silent Hill 1. So we get the backstory leading up to, the charred Alessa.
Right.
And
yeah, that was really weird. He finds her, right? And he tries to save her.
Yep.
That was uncomfortable. You don't want to... I mean, in this game, you get to carry around a small child with third-degree burns. That's funny.
Hey, how about that? I don't see what could possibly go wrong. You find, Alessa, pre-barbecued, and post-barbecued, actually, but you get to meet the same cast of characters that you had in the first game. You had Dr. Kaufman, the nurse, Lisa, and
Dahlia.
Dahlia, the other... Oh, God. I thought Dahlia could give anyone a run for their money. Then you had Claudia. But,
yeah.
And, you get more information about the cult that's trying to revive Samael. That was the name of the god. There we go. And you have this trucker who gets drawn into all of this, and you need to fight using the Flauros, and meanwhile he probably just wants a bourbon.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he wears a brown hat, a brown vest, and a red and white plaid shirt. His principal weapon is a tire iron, I believe. So yeah, he's just not ready for this stuff.
He's probably like, I don't know what the hell. There's all this supernatural bullshit. I'm just gonna
get fired if I don't get my load to Idaho by tomorrow.
He just wanders into all of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I just saw somebody, a house on fire. I didn't expect to be caught up in some sort of satanic Ivo Shandor-like ritual here.
There you go. That's the second Ghostbusters reference.
Yeah, well... I'm sorry, Ghostbusters is one of my favorite movies of all time, so, I felt it was necessary.
Of course it's fun.
3 endings in this game.
None particularly memorable.
None particularly memorable, although, because it's Silent Hill, we have to have a character who has very bad repressed memories.
Of course.
Of course, even this front-of-the-mill, everyday trucker has bad childhood memories.
Didn't he, like, kill his mom or something in one of the endings?
Hold on. We have the 2 bad endings.
Oh, good. There's 2 bad endings.
Oh no, he's got... The bad ending sees... I'm looking at Wikipedia. The bad ending sees Travis awaken in a room tied to a table and injected with a substance.
A substance?
He has a series of visions in which he killed a woman he mistook for his mother, his father, and a hotel receptionist.
Because who hasn't that happened?
His form is briefly replaced by that of the butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke ending sees Travis leave with an extraterrestrial and a dog and a UFO.
Combo ending. Dog UFO ending.
The good ending sees the Flauros manifest a baby that contains half of Alessa's soul, and Travis's return to his truck as Alessa carries the baby out of town.
So that's his good ending, is he gets to go back to his truck. And
live.
This is a prequel of sorts. This man did not accomplish anything. All these terrible things that we've seen happen are still going to happen.
Yes. So, because it's a prequel, the character actually does nothing. to prevent what is going to follow.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a PSP game. No offense to the PSP, all the way through. It's really not that developed, even compared to something like the next one, Homecoming, which definitely got its fair share of criticism.
Oh, yes.
The story in this one is almost, it's paper thin.
And moving into Silent Hill Homecoming, which was released in September 2008 for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, also developed by not Konami, but Double Helix.
Yeah.
But this was the first Silent Hill game actually made by a Western developer.
Yeah, and it shows.
Yes, it does.
Double Helix, by the way, I think the only other game I can think of that they developed was the G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra adaptation.
The name Double Helix sounds familiar to me, though. I'm trying to...
Oh, wait, Killer Instinct! I'm looking at the Wikipedia. No, wait a minute. This is a 2013 Killer Instinct. Never mind.
Okay, no!
No, that was Rare. I'm thinking, no. Battleship, Strider, Green Lantern, Rise of the Manhunters, Front Mission Evolved, G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, and Silent Hill Homecoming.
Which is their first game, Silent Hill Homecoming.
Oh, that was their first game!
That was their first!
That's amazing. Well, they did a good job.
And now Double Helix has been bought by Amazon. So
they'll be flying games to your door with their black...
They're probably making the drones that will deliver...
And, if if Double Helix is making them, I'm sure they'll work perfectly.
So... But yes, Double Helix, first Silent Hill game actually made by a Western developer, and again,
But this one you play as a special forces guy, right? He's ex-military.
You play as Alex Shepard.
That's right.
I'm like, oh, Shepard, all right.
Shepard. Oh,
we get a Shepard.
They'll never use that name again.
No, absolutely not. who is a soldier, and spoiler alert, he isn't. But just want to throw that right out the door. Spoiler alert, he isn't.
The background's a little fuzzy. Spoiler alert, it's a Silent Hill game.
Just letting you know that at this point now, Silent Hill is, it's Silent Hill is about 10 years old at this point, and it's still gray. So. Still keeping with that same formula of puzzle-solving combat. Really heavy on the combat, though, because of his character.
This was a brawler, and one thing that I think was redeemable about this game, especially if you're a Silent Hill fan, is the monsters are cool. They're really spooky looking.
Yes, they are.
The gameplay, the story, okay, but it's got some really neat, like Clive Barker inspired as these sort of monsters, which are really neat.
And yes, the story might be a little flimsy, but I do have to give praise to the fact that they work in the story just how pervasive Silent Hill's influence is on the neighboring towns. because this game takes place partially in a neighboring town called Shepherd's Glen.
Yeah.
Again, Shepherd.
Shepherd.
And
the obligatory spooky portrait of the Shepherd family as the cover, of course.
yes. And, the setup being is that, they have to offer a sacrifice every 50 years to the religious order in Silent Hill. Otherwise, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Well, all hell will break loose in their town. I mean, all hell is constantly breaking loose in Silent Hill.
Yes.
But it's okay when it's there. We just don't want it to come here.
You can definitely tell that this game was a bit inspired by the live-action movie.
Yeah, and I think the enemy, Siam, was pretty cool. That's like, it's this guy who's like bent over, and he has these two giant arms, so he kind of is like walking on a hobbled sort of all fours.
Yep.
And then there's another person like on his back, and she's bent over backwards, and it's just a cool looking monster.
It is.
They never do anything worth a damn with it, but it is cool looking.
It is, because I remember battling that, and I'm like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Although, admittedly, the first thing I thought was El Gigante from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, it's also pretty clearly a vagina. Like, they have, like, one connecting vagina.
Yeah.
Which is also a little off-putting.
Well, this is the Silent Hill series. I mean...
Oh, well, come on now. It doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't. As the games get better graphically, I noticed that Konami had to jump through more and more hoops to get them past censors.
Especially, too, in the next one, Shattered Memories, you see, they're like... The whole snow thing kind of reminds me of back when they made Evil Dead 2, where Sam Raimi famously said that, the blood's green and it's purple and it's black and it's whatever, just because they needed to get the rating down from NC-17. So they try to find other things to substitute for these gory kind of instances. And I think in this game of Homecoming, this is like... I mean, wasn't it so bad that the Japanese version was canceled? Wasn't it so gory that it didn't even get released in Japan?
Well, I'm gonna give you the Wikipedia thing on the censorship.
Okay.
Homecoming had difficulties in passing censors in some countries before it could go on sale. The Australian Classification Board refused to classify the game due to, quote, impact, violence, and excessive blood effects.
That is true. As someone who's played the game, I can tell you I agree with them.
The objectionable scenes included various body parts being drilled into, as well as the bisection of a character by an enemy.
Yeah.
This had the effect of banning the game for sale in the country, and representatives for publisher Atari mentioned that they would be asking Konami to tone down the violence to allow the game to receive the needed MA15 plus rating for its sale to be permitted.
Ooh.
The German version of the game was also postponed to 2009 in order for cuts to be made to pass the German censors after the uncensored version was rejected by the very unpronounceable German name. I think there's about 36 syllables in that.
Okay, alright. Independent verification. I've just opened the Wikipedia page too. Unterhaltung war
Selbstkontrolle.
Yeah, I don't know.
The game was resubmitted after being altered in the same way as the Australian version and received the highest rating possible as a result. And then, of course, it got banned in Germany. So,
Okay, so it wasn't released in Japan because it was bad, not because of anything gory.
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. So that answers your question. So, it did not get a Japanese release at all. But, there was...
Yeah, this game was messed up. This was one of those games where I don't care, how prudish you are, or, how conservative or liberal you are, whatever. This game was really gory, beyond, gameplay meriting gory.
It almost made Mortal Kombat look tame by
It did.
comparison.
It was, well, like I said, one of the characters was basically stapled to the back of another, and they shared like a sewn together vagina. It's very disturbing.
Oh, that'll happen. Despite it, though, it actually received pretty favorable reviews. Although, are you familiar with Zero Punctuation?
Yeah, yeah.
Yahtzee. Zero Punctuation. They argued that the Westernization actually downgraded the game.
And I would agree with that. It definitely just became more about in-your-face bludgeoning violence as opposed to the subconscious psychological terror that you felt in the other ones. This one was just a gore fest, a gib fest, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I do definitely have to agree with that, because it really, having played the earlier games, we definitely are moving away from the very subtle, nuanced, psychological, eerie horror mental mindfuck, and now it's just like, kill everything!
And again, even though he's not actually a Marine or Special Forces or whatever, Shepard definitely plays like someone who has combat experience, which the other characters most often did not.
Definitely much more gore-fest in this game than what we are accustomed to as fans of Silent Hill. I mean,
even compared to Travis, the combat's ridiculous, just the amount of it.
Yes, and they really take the time to really tell you how to fight in this game. I remember it's like, do this to bash and slice and dice.
And then there's your finishing moves where you stand over the guy and you swing the pipe at its head like Dead Island almost, I want to say.
It's like you're not playing as Kratos. This is Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the game was off target, definitely.
So, moving ahead, now, when I first heard that there was going to be a Silent Hill game for the Wii, my immediate response was, the hell?
This'll work perfectly.
The hell? Nintendo is going to let this go? Have they seen Silent Hill? I mean, it's a far cry from Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't, Silent Hill does not have your main characters sucking up Pyramid Head with a vacuum. Have they seen Silent Hill? But, as I was learning more and more about Shattered Memories, one of my most hated phrases in media got thrown in, and that was reimagining.
Oh, it's even worse than reboot or remake is reimagining.
Reimagining, which then immediately told me someone's out of ideas.
Yeah.
Someone's out of ideas. So Silent Hill Shattered Memories was released
fire, it's nice.
It's released December 2009 initially for the Wii, and it was a reimagining of the first game.
Again, and this is what I was alluding to earlier with my little Evil Dead analogy, is that now we can't use so much blood because it's on the Wii, so it's snow and ice, because white is death. It's just like, haven't you read that Robert Frost poem? Come on.
It's like, whose woods these are, I think, ah! And I couldn't finish the game for reasons that I will get into momentarily.
Reasons that will become blatantly obvious to anyone who plays it.
Despite the game getting favorable reviews, this is the game in the series that needs to die in a fire. Yeah. So I was so happy when they also said this game isn't canon. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it was a Wii exclusive, but then it came out on PS2, I think, and I guess it was PS2. It wasn't PS3.
It was available. It was initially a Wii release. Then it got a PS2, a PSP, and a PlayStation Network release.
The PlayStation 2 release is much better than the Wii version. Now, it doesn't get anywhere near the greatness of Silent Hill 1 through 3, but it's. I would say that the PS2 version of this game, which is the last Silent Hill game that I've legitimately played, is better than the one before this, Homecoming, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the PS2 version of Shattered Memories is not that bad, honestly.
Well, in that case, if that's the case, I still own my PS2. I may pick it up and give it another chance because the Wii version...
Oh, the Wii version's a mess.
I could not get through it. Yeah, okay, we go back to the psychological thriller aspect of Silent Hill, which was nice. That was a plus. That was a plus for that game. However, the thing that really turned me off was the no combat.
Yeah.
I understand that you're trying to go for the true psychological run the fuck for your life sort of moment, but it felt very, very clunky when you would have these long periods of exploration and then suddenly...
followed by running in terror.
Suddenly you have these very short periods of ice, run, death.
Well, to me, again, that's one of those things where I think like games still suffer from it. Like Outlast, if you've ever played Outlast.
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Which is a game with absolutely zero combat. And it's one of those things where I feel it's better done where, like, you know, you can engage in combat. You're not going to win, but you still have the option, you know, to try to, like, you know, hit the enemy to stun it for a second to give you that extra jump to run away, as opposed to just, you know, no chance at all, which is...
That's what got me with this game, is the fact that combat is not even an option. You don't have the ability just to, you know, throw a quick elbow or just a quick punch. It's run.
I think the most you get combat-wise in this game is, like, if someone jumps on you, you have the ability to fight them off and then run.
Yeah, you shrug them off, and that's that. And that was the big turnoff for me, and I could not finish, especially since you have to use the waggle of the Wiimote to...
I can't even imagine how that would have been.
It was pretty difficult, and you know, because you have to waggle the damn thing when you're running, and it's like...
And this was before Wii Motion Plus, mind you.
Yep. Yep.
So
you're
when we say waggle, we mean waggle.
But I mean, you have the characters from the first game. I mean, you have Harry and Dr. Kaufman and all of them, and you know, Dahlia.
All of those fun people.
Yes, except that Dahlia is now claiming to be Harry's lover.
Yeah.
And but I didn't, and also the fact that, you know, the shifting from, you know, the regular reality to the nightmare reality as snow and ice, it just did not feel the same. I mean, even going back to Homecoming, where the transition is no longer the air raid siren, but like the paint peeling.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and then in Origins, where you're willingly teleport by looking at your reflection. Mm-hmm. But the snow and ice does not sound anywhere near as threatening as the blood-colored rust air raid siren morph.
I think too, because in the next one in Downpour it's rain, and in this one it's snow. And the reason from Silent Hill 1 to Silent Hill Homecoming, the reason that's more effective is because it's so unnatural. Even though it's industrial, even though it has that urban decay that anyone who's driven through West Philadelphia will see.
Or Troy. But,
Troy, yeah, well, you know. You're going to get some angry emails. It's not organic, it's not biological, it's something that's, you know, not natural. And I think that adds a lot to it, as opposed to just snow and rain and ice.
Because I don't particularly find snow and rain threatening, a bit of a nuisance to drive through.
As someone who went to college in upstate New York at Plattsburgh, the snow is not scary to me anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I find a world that is loaded with tetanus to be much more threatening than, you know, ooh, ice.
Yeah, it's Camden, honestly. It's pretty much Camden, as opposed to like a snowy resort, which, you know, one is much scarier than the other.
So I mean, this got favorable opinion, but if you know, you're saying that the PlayStation 2 remake is the PlayStation 2 version is much better, then I may give it another shot.
I mean, it was playable.
Playable is better than not, but But
as someone who detests most Wii games, simply because of the impreciseness of the remote, I definitely prefer the PS2 version.
all right, that's certainly fair. And then we move on to the last in the main series. I mean, there's only been a couple of spin-offs anyway, but Silent Hill Downpour, which is the most recent one, coming out March 2012 on the PlayStation 3 and the 360. Developed by another non-Konami publisher, developed by Vatra Games. I have not played this. I do want to play it because it's an official canonical game. But this one sort of breaks a little bit from tradition. It introduces a sort of morality system.
I haven't played this one either, and I'm looking at that, and this does look neat, actually.
You play as a prison inmate.
Yeah.
And because it's Silent Hill, clusterfuck happens.
Of course, car accident. Why not?
Why not? Because Silent Hill hasn't beaten that one to death. We love our car accidents. Silent Hill is just horrible traffic.
Yeah, really. Don't drive there.
Don't drive there. But the game features, and because it's called Downpour, we need to have. There's going to be some sort of water-related rain thing.
Yeah. As someone who used to work at the game behemoth that is GameStop, I remember seeing this every 15 minutes on GameStop TV for 8 hours a day. And one of the things they pushed was that now it's the rain, it's not the rust, it's not the snow, and there's some kind of thing with the disc jockey too, I believe, a DJ who gives you like information, who's kind of your voice in the ear, sort of.
Yeah, and there have been more and more games that have been making use of that particular trope. But yes, the game features a real-time weather system in which, when it's raining, when it's raining, enemies are more frequent and stronger.
Great.
So, don't feed them after midnight and don't pour water on them.
Right. I've never heard that before.
Basically, otherwise it's just going to be this whole game is Gremlins, and that'll just end you.
Looking at the reviews here, we're seeing a C- from 1UP, 2 out of 5 from Game Revolution. Not a big surprise that Game Informer gave it a 7 out of 10 because I think that's the lowest score Game Informer gives. So it looks like it did better than Shattered Memories.
It's still, though, Downpour is overall probably one of the worst in terms of review scores.
This represents this is iconic of the transition that Silent Hill has been making over the course of the past 3 games to, and again, Resident Evil has been making the same thing.
Yes.
To a more action-oriented, mass consumable. Everybody, Gears of War, Halo, everybody wants to play this game, but they don't.
And it frustrates me because and this hurts me because I love Resident Evil so much, and watching the progression, and it hurts me. I played 4. I loved 4. It was at the time, 4 was a radical departure from all the other games of 4. So I could handle that. I'm like, okay, it's a radical step, but there's still enough elements of the familiar. I'm really enjoying it. 5, it's white guy mows down all of Nigeria.
It's Gears of War. And
6 is basically Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, exactly. So, and it's one of those things where, as gamers, we always complain that we want something new, we want them to try something new, but you don't necessarily want them to try this.
Not necessarily this, because we already have franchises that do this specifically and do it well.
And this is an instance of they're trying to make it a scary game, they're trying to give it a good story, they're trying to make it atmospheric, but they're also trying to make it Dynasty Warriors, and it's neither. You get like a half and half, and it's both poorly. It's not one good, but both poorly.
And it's just
as someone who's never played the game, that's pretty pretentious. But anyway,
the point is still valid, though. This is happening with our long running franchises because other developers see how much money Call of Duty and Battlefield and games like that pull in within 24 hours, all the other developers see dollar signs in their eyes and they go, let's take a series that has nothing to do with this and make it, more action-y. And
on the other hand, though, too, Silent Hill really seems to have this issue where they've split. What was once a hybrid has completely split, because also in Japan you have 3 spin-offs, which is there's the arcade, Orphan, and the Escape, and then there's the comic Book of Memories, which you can get on PSP,
right?
Which are just totally story and just completely atmospheric and little to no gameplay.
Yep.
So it seems like they don't know, like they can't do both. It's got to be one or the other, which is bizarre.
And we have Capcom and Konami who have done the survival horror thing so well.
Yeah.
But
they really have. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it because I love Silent Hill, but half of the games at this point are not good. And then there's The Room, which is okay. And then there's Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3. I mean, and you look at the games, the survival horror games that are coming out now, like anybody who has Steam, if you love Silent Hill, I heavily recommend checking out The Forest, which is like Silent Hill meets Minecraft. And it's a great game, but the whole Silent Hill thing seems to be going downhill recently, especially in the new generation of great graphics and heavy shooting and nothing else.
Yeah, it's as we wind down here, the Silent Hill series is not dead. I mean, the creator, Konami is still interested in making more Silent Hill games. So I mean, it's not like Capcom where they
if there's money in it, Konami is interested.
Oh, yes. The creator of Silent Hill, Masahiro Ito. Oh no, yeah, Masahiro Ito. Yeah, that I did pronounce that right. Oh God. I know. He wants to work with Hideo Kojima to make a Silent Hill game.
I just had coffee come out of my nose when you said that. Now that has potential. That sounds good.
It
also smells like coffee, but it sounds good.
Yes, well, that'll happen. I mean, Hideo Kojima has given us, obviously, Metal Gear Solid, which has been a very, very... That's a great series.
Never heard.
And the funny thing is that Kojima is on record as basically saying that, I'm scared of those games.
Yeah, well, they are. I mean, the first 3 especially, and the 4th one has its moments. They're scary games.
And so I'm curious to see how a partnership would work if that ever got off the ground, because Kojima is a storyteller that he loves to troll his fans.
Yeah.
So I could see him possibly doing something like that. But the Silent Hill franchise is not dead. However, we have not heard anything about a game in the works for the last 2 years. So I do not know if anything else will come of it, or if Silent Hill is going to bow out gracefully into the night.
It's a little too late for that.
Yeah.
The Team Silent, which developed the first 3 or 4, 3.5 really games, they've split up, and you can see a lot of the original Silent Hill in there's a PS2 game named Siren, which
I've heard of that.
Which is great if you love classic Silent Hill games. I believe 2 of the members of Team Silent went on to work on the Fatal Frame series, which is also good, really good if you like that old style Silent Hill games. So it's kind of one of those things where the game was taken away from the people who made it, almost,
And once it leaves the original team, it's like, okay.
Yeah, this is not the game.
This isn't the game anymore. I mean, even the composer, Akira Yamaoka, he composed all of the games except for Downpour. Mm-hmm. And so Downpour's soundtrack is a lot more industrial / new metal. I think there's
Depeche Mode, actually.
No, actually, Korn has a sound.
Oh, well, I didn't mean literally that it was Depeche Mode. I just meant it sounded like them. But Korn.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They've never done anything bad.
No, absolutely. absolutely not. But I should play Siren. I've heard a lot of great things about it.
If you like Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, Siren's a good game. It's a really good game.
I should get on that. That's
It's very about the interconnection of like actions, what one action can lead to. It's a pretty good game. A lot of replay value.
Good. So that's where Silent Hill, I think, is kind of in a holding pattern now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, now what? I'm just hoping that Konami doesn't continue to try to beat the cash cow to death.
I hear if cash cows aren't milked regularly, their udders become incredibly painful. So.
Well, it's like I want Capcom to stop making Resident Evil games. It's like, no, enough. Enough. The story ended with Resident Evil 5. 6 did not need to happen. Stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think that's going to wrap it up. Do you have any more thoughts on the series as a whole?
Just, I still get, when you hear that bomb siren or fire alarm siren, you just kind of, you still think about Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, and it's one of those things where it's just so iconic. We didn't even talk about the 2 movies, which are god-awful, but still, I mean, the first one has its charm, but still, it's contributed so much to the culture of video games, where it's one of those games where if you are a gamer, if you like survival horror, if you like these kind of games, you gotta play it. You have to play the first 3 Silent Hill games, and the 4th one, I would say.
At the very least. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, we've had 15 years of Silent Hill, but if you are going to jump into the series, definitely pick up the first 3. They're all available on PlayStation Network. Silent Hill 2 and 3 were re-released as part of an HD collection.
And I think Silent Hill 1 is like $7 on PlayStation Network, and it's definitely worth it.
Even with PlayStation 1 polygons and all,
it's worth it.
Still worth it.
It's a piece of video game history. I mean, you see, when you play these first 3 games, you see so much that has been repeated and copied, emulated. I mean, it's in the video game DNA. It really is something you should play.
Very, very enjoyable. It pains me though, these long-running series that get totally mangled and twisted beyond their original.
It does sound kind of weird to say like, oh, you need to play it. Just don't play the last 6 of them.
Yeah, play the first 3 or 4, but after that, and if you want to see the movies, then all right. I saw the first. It was okay.
The first movie's good until like the halfway point, and then the second movie is just terrifying. Yeah, the second movie is scary. It's so bad it's scary.
Oh wow!
But he has Zinger, right? But the first one's alright. It's not great, but it's alright. It's got Sean Bean in it, so I mean.
He's dead. So, he's dead. It's Sean Bean. That means he's going to die.
He's going to die terribly at some point, right?
at the very least. So, there you have it. Silent Hill, 15 years on. We'll wait to see if the series can relive its glory days or not.
There's hope.
There is hope yet. So, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts on this episode or any other episode of downloadable content, you can get in touch with us a variety of ways. Facebook.com/DLContent, Twitter @DLContent, Tumblr @DLCpodcasts.tumblr.com, and as always, all episodes can be found on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher. So it remains for me to thank Mike for making his debut here on downloadable content. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully we will see you again on future episodes. And so until next time, I'm Brian. Have a good one, everybody.
So outrageous the toll. You can lose all you have. He refused to give in to the town that takes all. Survive. You must have the will. This so outrageous and tall. You can lose all you have. He refused to give in to the town that takes all. Survive, you must have the will. This movie doesn't end the way we want. All the time when he shouts at the moon, she's gone, and fear has overcome. He was walking the mile. He was walking alone. 420 dead birds, they bleed upon the nest. There was no time for reasons. They had no sign of the threat. Now it's too late for me. This town will eventually take me. Too late for me. This town will win.
Through this fog they came along. Dark creatures singing a terrible song. The rest of the bar laughed at him. Only I felt my own crept in. They found him dead the very next day. No more stories from him, I heard him say. We blame bad luck for his fate. Only I felt terror so great.
She and he will know that some